I'm Dr. Charles Raison. My friends call me Chuck. I'm talking to you today as the Director of Research on Spiritual Health for Emory Healthcare in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been thinking a lot this week about something that happened when I was a kid. Recent events with the pandemic have oddly put me in mind of it. I was a skinny kid, a nerd with a bad complexion in a town where football was king. Um, and although I didn't let on, I very, very much wanted to be popular, and I very, very much wanted a girlfriend. And I had the unfortunate desire to try to date, the most popular girls in school. And I was having no luck. I had a few friends, but I had acclimatized to that and had sort of seen that as the world the way it just was. And then I took part in an exchange program where I went and spent a couple of weeks on a pueblo in New Mexico. And the family I lived with sent one of their sons back to live with us. And so Steve, my brother in this exchange program, came to my small town, and within a week had the phone ringing off the hook. All the people that would never have even thought of acknowledging me in the hallway were calling him up. And somehow he managed to go out on dates with almost every single one of the most popular, beautiful girls in school. Uh, and then finally, the coup de grace for me was that I'd had some older friends that I very much admired, and they'd never invited me over to their house. And within a week, he'd gotten an invitation to their house. And while this was happening, I became more and more distressed because it became clearer and clearer that the reason I had the popularity status I did was because of the way I was. And I fought this realization and I fought this realization. And I got really distressed. We dropped my Native American exchange brother off at the train station about 100 miles away and started driving home. And I'm embarrassed to admit it, but even though it's kind of a silly situation by adult standards, but I was devastated at the time. And I remember weeping. And my mom was driving, and we topped a hill, and it was springtime in California, beautiful green hills. And the hillsides were splashed with wildflowers, and the sky was blue with little white puffy clouds. And I had a profound emotional experience, which was all of a sudden I said, you know what? Yes, that's the way it is. I'm not the most popular kid in school. Sue me. Look how beautiful the hillsides are. And, I don't mind being me, and I'm so glad to be alive. And it was such a profound experience that I never forgot it. Interestingly, without meaning to, it changed my behavior. After that, I was much more realistic, and I actually got invited over to dinner at those same friends' houses. And within a month or two, I got a girlfriend, not the most popular girl in school, but a very nice woman. Here's why I'm thinking about this. So just in the last week, I've got a good colleague work colleague who started going through some really rough times. And I would talk to her by Zoom or Skype, and she just didn't look like herself. And she just was struggling. And then the next day, I got on with her again, and she looked back to normal. And I said, "Oh my God, what happened? Something good happened." And she said, yes, yes. She says, something good happened. I realized that we are in the middle of a very frightening, deadly pandemic that's turned our entire world upside down. And it is perfectly okay for me to be freaked out. I realized that I have to let go of this struggle I'm having to act as if the world's still the same as it was before. And this really struck me because it's quite in line with a lot of scientific research showing that when people give up on goals that are not reachable, on unrealistic goals, it can often be a powerful antidepressant because it allows them to let go of that necessity to have to cling on to things, to be right, to insist that the world stay the way it was, or that it shape to your particular demands. And when you let go of those unreachable goals, there's this liberation. And so what struck me is that this is really acceptance. And acceptance in this context does not mean surrender. It does not mean that you go passive. It does not mean that you give up. Quite the contrary, in fact. This sort of acceptance, when we're able to really fully feel it, can be really, really liberating because it allows us to look around, and instead of being tortured by what isn't here, instead of expending all this energy trying to make things more normal than they are or different than they are, we say, okay, this is the situation we're in. And thank God for the goods that I do have in my life. So I think this idea of acceptance and the attempt to achieve acceptance within ourselves is something that we can all work on during this COVID-19 pandemic, with the realization that, alas, it's not a one and done. Many of us are going to have to accept things over and over again, and that's just part of the process. But to the degree that we can do that, um, I think it's going to be hugely helpful for our mental health and our physical health also. So please keep us in your thoughts and prayers. Stay healthy and do the same for us.